What is up, Mizzou fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com, covering your Missouri Tigers, and we've got some breaking news as the Tigers have picked up their first big commitment of the NCAA transfer portal season, and they got a commitment from St. Louis native wide receiver Kevin Coleman. He's transferring in from Mississippi State, where he had over 900 yards receiving last year and 6 touchdowns. Mizzou seems to have found their wide receiver one in Kevin Coleman. Coleman entered the transfer portal just a few days ago, or earlier this week, and as soon as he entered, everyone immediately started making connections to Mizzou, and it made sense because Coleman is a St. Louis native. Mizzou recruited him out of high school, and he ended up going to Jackson State to play for Deion Sanders. And then after Deion left Jackson State, Kevin Coleman went to Louisville, where he spent a season, and then Mississippi State, where he played last year. And now finally ending up back in his home state of Missouri, where he'll now play for the Missouri Tigers. And I know everyone will think, wow, 4 schools in 4 years. How does that happen? And I'll say I don't blame him for the first transfer because Deion, the coach that he came in to play for, left the university. Okay, he moved on. Then he went to Louisville. Didn't quite have the numbers that he was wanting to have. So he moves on to Mississippi State. And he finally put together a really good season, and now he's capitalizing by coming home. And it sounds like Missouri may be putting together a similar NIL package that they did for Luther. They're going to give Kevin Coleman a little bit of the Luther Burden treatment here. And there was even rumors last year that Kevin Coleman may transfer back home to Missouri. This connection has always been there, but you guys may have seen some of the rumors that go around online that Kevin Coleman and Luther Burden had a childhood rivalry, and it was taken all the way up until they were in college, and I guess they didn't like each other all that much, so that was kind of one of the hookups back when Mizzou was recruiting both Burden and Coleman. Mizzou chose to go all in on Luther Burden, and I think most of us would agree that was the right choice. But now Luther Burden's not here, which opens up a spot for Kevin Coleman, and I think he's going to be super excited to play for his home state. Once again, he's going to be close to family with this move. I'm sure the NIL potential is the highest out of all the places he could have landed. Mizzou's going to give him the Luther Burden treatment, and hopefully Kevin Coleman can give the Tigers Luther Burden type play at wide receiver, which he definitely showed he was capable of last season at Mississippi State. A lot of Mississippi State fans have been calling him their best player. They were very upset to lose him. He was their wide receiver one, and now Mizzou has their wide receiver one, and I think this is absolutely huge. They needed to go out and get a wide receiver one. I'm glad that they did. I've had a little bit of a debate between myself and Mizzou fans because a lot of you guys say we don't need a wide receiver. We have all these young guys, and I don't disagree that Mizzou has a lot of talent at wide receiver. You could argue that that's the position on the team with the brightest future. I wouldn't disagree with you there, but it's a lot of potential and not a lot of proven. Missouri right now, well, now they have Kevin Coleman, so they do, but before Kevin Coleman, Missouri did not have a single wide receiver on this team that has ever had more than 400 yards in a season. They needed a wide receiver one. They needed a proven guy going into next year, and also to make this a more attractive place for a potential transfer quarterback, which we may be talking about fairly quickly. Hell, there could be a commitment before this video is even uploaded, before you guys even begin to watch this. But nonetheless, you got your wide receiver one, and I just think that's a really huge deal. I'm glad that Mizzou was aggressive in that regard because while I love the talent that they have, and I love Courtney Crutchfield, I love James Madison, I love Marquise Johnson, there's not a lot of proven there. There's not that many yards between the three of those guys and everyone else. Joshua Manning is another one that I forgot to mention. But, I mean, even Joshua Manning, he got very limited playing time last year even. So I think you needed a wide receiver one to go with your stable of young, talented wide receivers. And that's Kevin Coleman, man. This is a guy that was just shy of 1,000 yards last year in the SEC. He is a dynamic playmaker. He's super athletic. He's quick. He's twitchy. I mean, Luther Burden, we know, was a quick twitch guy that got a lot of yards after the catch. Kevin Coleman has similar ability. Now, I don't think he'll break as many tackles as Luther Burden did. Luther Burden definitely broke a lot of tackles, and he was bigger and a little bit more physical, but you'll see Kevin Coleman make a lot of guys miss, and you'll see him run past defenders. That's just the kind of guy that he is. He's got game-breaking speed. He's got big playability. I just am super stoked to have him on board. A wide receiver one, a true wide receiver one. That is what I wanted, and that is what Mizzou got, and I cannot overstate how happy I am that this coaching staff agreed with me and went out and got Kevin Coleman. And I mean, it was obvious too. I mean, a hometown kid enters the transfer portal. You would be silly not to contact him. You would be silly not to try and get him. And here's the other thing I've been harping on. Why would you not want to go all in again next year? You have a good team. You have a good foundation. You just finished last season 9-3. You have this momentum. Why would you not try to build the best possible roster to make a run at the college football playoff and a possible national championship? You know, you can't do that by just rolling with what you have. You got to go and be aggressive and get guys that are proven to be elite players at the college level or great players at the college level. If Mizzou didn't go out and try to aggressively get a wide receiver in the portal, I would question how serious they are about making a run at the national championship. You don't make a run at the national championship by simply sitting on what you have and waiting for them to develop. That's just not the landscape that we're in anymore. And you look at schools like Ole Miss and Georgia, they both have extremely talented wide receiver rooms, but that doesn't stop them from adding the portal. Ole Miss is rumored to be in on Dane Key, who is Kentucky's leading wide receiver this past season. Georgia was trying to go and get the Georgia Tech wide receiver that was really good in the game against them. Like, even the elite teams are not going to stop adding at positions where they're already stacked if they see a guy in the portal that they know can help them get over the hump. So Mizzou should be doing the same, and I'm not going to fault them for going and getting a guy that was a 1,000-yard receiver in the SEC essentially last season. So I don't know how you could be against this. I don't think this is going to scare anybody off. You know, these guys love competition. They need the competition, especially for the young ones that are developing. And if someone gets recruited over and they feel like, I'm going to transfer, so be it. That's college football. That's college recruiting. So Mizzou went out and saw an opportunity to improve their roster to the best of its ability, and I am not against that in any way. Now, if Mizzou could just go and get their transfer quarterback, and we think we have a pretty good idea of who that might be, and then shore up the offensive line, this offense is looking super explosive next year. And if you can just keep the defense at a level similar to where it was at or a little bit better, then, I mean, you're putting yourself right back in the mix again next year. And that's all you can ask, right, is keep yourself in the mix, keep stacking up these good seasons together, and hopefully one of these years you break through and make a serious run. But at least you're keeping your name relevant. You're stacking up a bunch of 9-10 win seasons. That's going to continue to help in recruiting, and then you can go in the portal and do it again next year. And with some of the portal departures we've seen too, I think we're heading towards a college football where the days of developing talent may be over. Not completely, but you see guys like Williams Neri leave, guys like Jalen Brown leave. Mizzou's going to go out and they're going to get a couple DNs in the portal probably to replace them. And those were your top two defensive end signees from the 2024 class. So it's not even a guarantee that all the wide receivers that Mizzou has now are going to be here at the start of the season. I'm not trying to cause any panic, but that's just college football now, man. So you got to go out and improve where you can. And that's what Mizzou did today by adding Kevin Coleman. So those are my thoughts on Mizzou landing transfer wide receiver Kevin Coleman. I think it's great. I'm super excited to have him in here playing for the hometown team. But I want to hear from you guys what your thoughts are on the Tigers landing Kevin Coleman. Let me know down in the comments. All that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Mizzou fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com for more. I'll see you all in the next one. And as always, MIZ.